West Thailand, today a peaceful, beautiful landscape. Almost 80 years ago, it was quite the opposite. In the hills ahead is a place that has become the focal point for a powerful and disturbing chapter in Australia's World War II story. A place that was, for thousands of captured Australian soldiers, hell.
This is the entrance to Hellfire Pass, a cutting on a 400-kilometre railroad known as the Death Railway, for reasons that will become horrifically apparent. It was created for the Japanese military by an army of forced labourers, among them 13,000 Australian prisoners of war.
The men are captured in early 1942 by a Japanese war machine that has just entered the global conflict and now seems unstoppable. Having attacked Pearl Harbor, the Japanese surge through Southeast Asia and the Pacific as British, Australian, American and other units fall back. Around 100,000 allies are taken into captivity with the surrender of Singapore, and for them, a nightmare awaits. These men are needed for Japan's ambitious next plan. To supply its men now fighting in Burma, it is going to build a railroad through hundreds of kilometres of mountainous jungle.
Its workforce, 60,000 prisoners of war and 200,000 civilian labourers, who from 1942 to 43 are shipped up country in rail carriages like this. It's a tortuous journey. Many of the men are already severely ill and they're squashed in. At the other end, they're force-marched hundreds of kilometres through the jungle to their labour camps along the railroad where they'll start work. Among them was gunner James Kerr.
We were 30 men to a steel rice truck, enclosed rice steel truck. Fortunately, the doors were open for a 5-day journey to Bangkok. You know, not a very pleasant journey. I can remember marching into my camp, which was Connew 2 on the railway, on Anzac Day, 1943.
Kerr's camp was close to Hellfire Pass, where Australians started work 28 years after the original Anzacs went ashore at Gallipoli. 75 metres long and 25 deep, it was hacked out of jungle and the rock beneath. One of many cuttings along the line, it has come to symbolise the suffering of prisoners across the Asia-Pacific.
You have to understand the weakened state of so many of the prisoners, even before they arrived here on the railway. Diseased, malnourished, without decent clothes, shoes, they were forced to work in all conditions, 24/7. Working usually in teams of two, one on a hammer and one on a long pole called a tap. They would bash holes in the rock. Dynamite was then shoved in to blow it apart. The rubble would be carted away by hand or in sacks. They didn't even have wheelbarrows.
Life here was sickeningly cruel. Torture and punishment were commonplace. Those who faltered, even when ill, were brutalised by their guards. It is estimated that 69 Australians were beaten to death in Hellfire Pass alone. Some prisoners bravely tried to record their experiences in sketch form, drawings that would have earned the men instant execution if discovered. The Australian Interpretive Centre at Hellfire Pass brings home the horror. Built in 1998 and refurbished in 2018, it tells the story with evocative audio and visual effects.
This pile represents the extraordinary amount of rock each man was expected to shift every day. And this bowl indicates the pitiful daily food ration he was supposed to manage it on. It's just not enough to survive.
Everybody was hungry every day, every minute of the day. You're always hungry because you never had enough to eat. The breakfast of the morning was pappy rice, which is watery rice.
So you get a cup of that, and that's what you went out and worked on the railway on.
At their camps in the valley below us, men were squashed into bamboo huts or tents. Kitchen facilities were woeful, and toilets were vile pits in the ground. And with disease rife, doctors among the captives were seen as heroes, doing the best they could with almost no medical equipment.
And the people with ulcers, sometimes they're huge and take up all the shin, and they used to have to be cleaned each morning. The only means of cleaning those was with a sharpened spoon with no anaesthetic. So you can imagine the pain, the screaming.
All that suffering, all that toil, for what? Well, the railway was completed and it operated. But Japan, along with Germany, lost the war, a conflict estimated to have cost around 80 million lives worldwide.
In this corner of the world, more than 100,000 forced workers died on the Burma-Thailand Railway, leading to the phrase, "a life for every sleeper." Almost 9,000 of the military casualties are buried at the two war cemeteries here in Kanchanaburi.
Since 1945, the railway has become a part of the ongoing Anzac story, and it has entered popular culture in movies like The Railway Man and post-war blockbuster The Bridge on the River Kwai.
That film was largely fictional, yet this bridge on the quay at Kanchanaburi was one of many built by Allied slave labour, and today it serves as a very real connection with the truth.
More than 2,700 Australians perished on the railway. In total, across Southeast Asia, of the 22,000 of our men and women taken into captivity, more than 7,000 died. That's about 20% of all Australian deaths in World War II. The shock and scale of these losses had a massive impact on a nation of only 7 million. For survivors, coming home brought its own challenges. Some shut away their memories, yet for others, with each passing year, it has grown ever more important that Australians know the truth of what happened here, and that we honour the memory of those who never came back.